10 by 10 is a collaboration between musicians and visual artists. We pair them together and ask them to make parallel works based on a shared concept or theme. We're excited to share a sneak peek of these works. We're going to see sketches of the musical compositions as well as digital versions of the screen prints.
The idea of shredding paper and like different ways of tearing paper or manipulating paper, creating different sounds with that, and how that could be kind of the genesis for the orchestral work.
The paper's quality, the fiber's quality could be very flexible and versatile, bringing out the tactile experience using the material, the paper and fiber material.
How do I develop or explore going from noise or more abstract sound into a musical tone and then manipulating that into, like, I guess, quote unquote music? That was kind of like for me the process and like kind of the river that I ended up discovering along the way. When I started with this paper cadenza, my kind of focus was like, okay, how do I take paper, just this source sound, and how do I actually tie that into the orchestra? How do I get that sound to start working with the orchestra itself? And so the cadenza starts off the entire piece as the performer explores and manipulates these crinkling and ripping sounds.
Felt like a journey to the unknown territory. And for me, the whole process was about like translating, transferring, and integrating on the flat surface. So from sound elements to the visual elements to the screen printing process, three different sections of creativity.
So I sent Yoon Shin my the handwritten copy of the score, so that there was like this exchange of material as well going on that was really, really helpful and thought-provoking.
Learning about, how our main medium can be exchanged and interpreted. One thing that intrigued me the most was the temper. It turned out that we used the term temper in a different way. It's the one element connects two different media, sound and visual, and I wanted to see if I could translate the common term, although the meaning is different.
Having the common thing being paper and texture, I was like, we're going to explore this medium in our own unique personal ways, but like the thread is always there.
Our title is A River is Found on the Other End. It was in April when things were locked down. And somehow it seems to me that the title was kind of guiding me to think about uncertain things. Not only the current situation with the COVID, but also with working with an unfamiliar medium. For my studio practice, I usually don't listen to any kind of music. I prefer to kind of just focus on creating. And bringing like a sound element to my studio practice was like a refreshing and new.
With all the conversations that we had, whether it be via email or a Zoom meeting or with the COVID times too, like there was something about, because of the isolation that was just kind of brought on by everything, the exploration of the materials that we focused on did become just more and more of this focused meditation. I felt, but there was still a guiding light through all of it, and I think it was helped by our discussions about what we love, what we focus on, and like what we're exploring as artists. That kind of helped me like think about, how was I going to manipulate this paper cadenza, how was I going to get that into this sound world that I wanted to explore.
From that experience, my journey was more like he created kind of paths, and I tried to create my own paths, and going back and forth to different route and kind of find like a common route to get to the river, theoretically, but we don't get to see the river, right?
It's really fun when you're talking with an artist from another discipline. Obviously our work is very different. I mean, it's there's visual versus oral, but there's like so much of the same inspiration, and that you can draw a lot of different things in different directions from that.
It turned out that we were both really interested in different aspects of the environment and climate change and nature as inspirations.
The natural world inspires a lot of my music, and so that was a nice connecting point.
The piece is based on a photo that I took of a Baculites fossil, which is a 65 million year old fossil, which is all that remains of a creature that was sort of a predecessor to the modern octopus. It went extinct around the time of the dinosaurs. This creature starts out very tiny and grows very quickly, building chambers in its shell to protect itself from predators, which just made me think about how fragile and at the same time physical life is. I was really inspired by visually the beauty of this fossil and how we look back through time and interpret these things.
And the fossil is really interesting because it's like a lot of it's about patterns, right? And in a lot of my music, I like to take a pattern and then repeat it and then change it.
Pattern is something I think about a lot while I'm working. The image that I was working with for this project also was tampered with. It's not just a straight photo. I repeat it, so I create a repeating pattern.
Which, you know, we could kind of look at from a climate change perspective, just kind of the natural patterns of the earth, but then also, you know, our human patterns. The name of my piece, "The Eyes of All Future Generations," comes from the speech by Greta Thunberg, who I think we all know is the youth activist for climate change. I'm calling it kind of dramatic percussion. So it's two percussionists as soloists with the string orchestra. What I did with the percussionist parts, they're doing things that are very different than what you might do traditionally. So one of the examples, everyone's familiar with electric toothbrushes, right? So they've taped paper clips or washers or different things, and they're turning on the toothbrush. And when you press that to various instruments, for example, there are these metal pipes, tuned metal pipes, and you get this really kind of eerie, buzzing, pitched sound.
Music, by virtue of its form, it has to be linear, right? There's like a beginning, a middle, and an end. So it always has this kind of narrative quality. Painting does have a temporality, but it's kind of collapsed. It's like flattened. And I definitely think about, you know, how this image that I'm working with is like an echo of something from a very long time ago when there weren't even eyes to look at it. Or if they were eyes of someone, there were no eyes of human beings. It was perceived completely differently if it was perceived at all.
well, Rodrigo is a drummer, and I'm a drummer and percussionist.
And yeah, so I really connected with Luis right away, speaking about percussion. It's an important part of our practice.
We're also from the same region, which is called El Bajío.
We both were considering specific trees of the central part of Mexico in our work, not just for this project, but for years.
When we were talking about ecological, environmental surroundings in our childhoods, the mesquite was super present. Also the huizache. And these are trees that have been like consistently disrespected and torn down. Trees like the mesquite, where like when everything is brown and yellow and super dry, that's the only thing that is actually green, and that's like a relief to the eyes and to the body.
So Luis came to the studio after a meeting we had, and we were like talking and throwing ideas.
Right when I went to his studio, it was super interesting to me to like start hitting the sculptures with his permission, of course. The sounds that we would get would be super interesting.
We were exploring like different sounds from different pieces, different temperatures of pieces being fired, different finishes, and so that was like the beginning, no? Like okay, what can we do with material and with idea, no?
So I was like, what if you just made something for this project? Like, what if you made the main instruments?
I was particularly interested in checking how sound could be coming out from the sculptures.
Making his sculptures like mesquite, parts of mesquite, and to see how would they sound.
I mean, basically, we went crazy with the project. No, we were super excited about it. I just needed to make a print. I did not have to make any sculptures, but we were just really into the whole project, no?
We thought about these objects as symbols of both the tree and also what happens to the tree, or what is happening to these types of trees all the time. You have 4 pieces, 4 sound sculptures that Rodrigo made that are being bowed, that are being scraped, that are being hit. And then I recorded them and listened to them a lot, and then started to create a piece that I would then orchestrate. But I really wasn't sure about how the 2 worlds fit together, right? Like the world of Rodrigo's sculptures and that tactility and the very close and personal connection to them and hearing them, and then an oboe. I think we could get more tactile sounds and maybe find like, you know, where the cello and the mesquite tree sculpture meet, right? And how they can actually interact with each other and speak to each other.
And I was asking him, I want to see the visuals that you are using, like your first handwritten ideas, no, that I don't even understand, right? I cannot read them, but for me, these gestures become into drawings. No?
In a way, the approach is not super musical in the sense of what we might consider music. It was very sonic. Also, what your objects kind of like are speaking, right? Are saying, like, it's more like letting them speak in a way.
This back and forth, no, like a true conversation of speaking about the concept, no, the trees.
One idea that I would see as sound-based or very musical, he would see it as visual.
What you will be able to see in the print are references to the sculptures of the trees, and then complementary color of green, no, which is like a reddish. So it's like mirroring the conversation.
Then there was also this convergence, and we had actually a moment in which we couldn't believe that we were kind of like seeing similar things with the music.